Clear here in the Pacific Northwest Puget Sound area, grow zone 8B. It is the last couple of days of October. Today is the 29th, so it's Halloween's Eve. And we have finally had our first frost a couple of days ago. I was frantically trying to get my garden tunnels put up, and I just had to cover some things up with cardboard boxes to try to protect them. So far, so good with that. Just trying to extend the grow season just a little bit longer on a few things that haven't quite come to maturity yet. So I can't wait to show you guys what's going on over there in the garden. But in the meantime, I've had family visiting, so we have gone on a few adventures, and I'll share those with you. As well as my chickens have escaped a couple of times this week due to leaving the fence open, and they have destroyed some of our plants, mainly the carrots, which is disappointing, but I'll just show you what they got up to. And then I was able to still do a project while my family was here. They're still here, but I made some laundry detergent, and I have not tried it yet, but this is why I gave it a shot. I have this ancient tree in my yard. It's probably over 100 years old, and it drops about 10 million of these nuts a year. These are called horse chestnuts, and they are not edible. I've seen squirrels eat them, but humans are certainly not supposed to eat them. And I came across this woman named Nancy Burntwhistle on Instagram, and she was making what she called Conker's detergent, because in England they call these nuts conkers. And I did not know there was any useful use for this, but it was so simple. It was literally just cutting these up, soaking them in water, putting them in a container, and she said that it's really great. And it had really good reviews from people on Instagram. So figured, why not? So you'll have to hang out till the end of the video. I'll show you kind of the process of this, and then I'll link, or somehow I'll put in the description this lady, her book, where to find her more detailed recipe for it than what I do, but it's super easy. So come on, follow me. We'll check out what's going on in the garden and everything else. So here we have our possible kohlrabi, possible kale, and it's protected. It's not, it doesn't have any ice on it right now, as well as another little plant back here, and I'm pretty sure that that is kale. And then we have the radishes, which I figured I would get your opinion on this, because see that right there? It's popping up. I don't know if that means it's ready to harvest, if it's big enough, if I need to let it sit longer. But a few of these are ready, I think, to be pulled up. So when I do, I will take a picture of it to show you what happened. I also covered up these possible mystery carrots over here, because I didn't want them to get frostbit like some of these surrounding things. They're crispy and frosty over here. And then I have some more the wasabi radish back here covered up with a box. The frost has definitely done in the pumpkin over here, but I did want to show you guys, even though I know it's not going to develop. This did grow just a smidgen from the last time, but now that it is frosted, it's finished, it's over, I should probably pull it up. I need to look and see if chickens are allowed to eat pumpkin vines, because that's where it's going to need to go if they can. And here is my super fancy tunnel setup. The things that clamp down onto this were very hard to clamp down, so I ended up just leaning some bicycles up against it to keep it from flying up, and I was able to secure it on the ends. But right here is our arugula area, and so that's still doing good. And our surprise carrots are still growing over here as well. There's the arugula, doing pretty good. Then we have our beets in here, but nothing to really see. I don't think that they are going to continue to grow, honestly. We have our what is this called? Brussels sprouts. And one thing I am noticing from this cloth, I don't know if I need to get a heavy dutier one, but it did have some crystal kind of formations on the plants, so hopefully it's not too cold for them. Same thing here as our broccoli. It's it had some crystal formations on it as well. More beets and more of that crazy mushroom, whatever that is. I still have not figured it out. And then I have our spinach here, as well as our little kale plant growing. It's the only one that really has succeeded because this one got munched down. It might still come up, who knows. And then our radishes right here. So we'll see how these, if these continue to grow. This one looks like it's going pretty well, but I don't know if this is going to be enough cover to keep it from getting too frosty. And this is what happened the day that the chickens had their adventure outside of the pen while we were in Seattle. So I was flabbergasted. I thought that, oh my gosh, maybe a squirrel did this, but nope. The chickens left an incriminating poopy, and there was a trail of them that led to here. So, I'm gonna just leave these and see what happens, but you know what? I'll just pull one up just to see what's going on. Oh, little tiny baby carrot. I'll leave the rest in to see how far and deep they grow. But yeah, they would have been so great. Those chickens hadn't have escaped. The first part of our adventures when my dad got here was I took them out to see a little village called Leavenworth here in Washington. And it is just so beautiful and charming. It's a Bavarian style town where everything is built in sort of a German Alp kind of style. We ate at a sausage place, and it was so nice because they had this fire pit around the table, or in the center of the table, because it was so chilly, and the kids were enjoying some hot apple cider. And then after we ate lunch, we of course went to a German style bakery and had some treats. And I just love this town so much because on every little wall, on the outside of buildings and inside of buildings, there's just these super charming, just adorable paintings that I love to look at. And a trip's not complete without playing in some puddles. We said goodbye, and the sun was just going down and looking so beautiful on the mountain. Per usual, I typically wait till the very last minute to get what I need to get done finished. So I finally put up these tunnel things that I had bought weeks ago to prepare for the frost, but I just was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be 30 degrees in the morning. I had better get to work. So here I am just plugging along, building these, and it did not come with instructions, so I just kind of had to figure it out. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it came with some gloves, which I did not realize it's because these are made out of fiberglass, so before I realized what the gloves were for, I got quite a few little, glass splinters, which is so fun. So I'm thrifty, aka cheap, so I bought the a million yard version of this cloth, so that I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have two rows of tunnels. I will just take it as far as it'll go and then cut off one end, and then I'll have probably enough for the next row. And you know what? In this case, my cheapness paid off, because that is exactly what happened. I got exactly the amount that I needed for 2 rows, and it fit perfectly. And then of course I had to, be weird and take it down there to the end of the row. But I got the job done. And it took longer than I thought it would, and it was getting cold and I was over it. So I just put bicycles up here to kind of keep that safe. Here we are in Seattle, at Pike's Place Market, and we did all the things that you do when you go there. So the first thing that we saw when entering were these cats playing violin and the accordion. That was super interesting for Katana. She was very fascinated. And then we found the fish stalls, which there's multiple throughout, but this is the weirdest fish. Look at those teeth. And then there was just containers of live crabs that the kids were just fascinated with. And then of course you have, so many yummy looking fruits and veggies to choose from. And I could literally look at this stuff all day long. The kids were really fascinated by these ostrich eggs. I was thinking like, oh, how cool would it be to have that and make an omelet, but it's just the shell. And then I had to reenact their portrayal of how you take a baby to the restroom. Accurate. And then we had to stop at the magic shop and do all of the different, magic animatron things. Connor had to see how strong he is, and it turns out he is not quite the strongest, but pretty high up there. So proud of him.
Oh wow, look at you, Mr. Strongman.
And then I needed to find out what my personality type is by doing a palm reading for 50 cents. And it said that I was a dreamer, which is not wrong. And you cannot leave Pike's Place without buying an amazing bouquet of flowers. Katana got her own little flower that she was super thrilled with.
It's a flower.
And then we came home to our chickens doing whatever they wanted to do in our backyard. And we had to corral them back in. But they had a fun chicken day out. And then the kids were able to help me collect the conkers or horse chestnuts, so that Connor could help me by smashing them with a mallet, highlight of his day. And then from there, I put them into a quart glass jar and put 2 cups of boiling water in there, with the horse chestnuts. And then I just kind of mixed it up, shook it up a little bit. Be careful because it was boiling water in there, but you do that and you let it sit overnight. That's what I did, and just left it to sit and soak up whatever ingredients it needed out of the horse chestnuts. And then this morning I strained off what had been sitting all night into another clean quart jar and got all that liquid off. And then I put it into a food processor type thing and do what you do with those. I ground it up into a bajillion pieces and then let it get super, super chopped up. And then I added in another 2 cups of boiling water for it to, I transferred it to another bowl, and then added in the 2 cups of boiling water. And then you let that sit for 3 hours. So, per usual, things get pretty wild here in the mornings. So I did put this, after I let it sit with the boiling water for 3 hours, into this, and strained it out, and kind of pushed on this to get all the liquid out of it into this container. And now we have some of this to use on our clothing. Oh, while I'm here, I've got to show you my pretty flowers that my dad got me yesterday in Seattle. Look at this little cabbage. Little cabbage for a flower. Isn't that cute? Thanks so much for watching this week. If you've ever been out this direction in the Pacific Northwest and visited Seattle, I would love to get your suggestions of things to do when you visit, because I feel like I take people to the same kind of things that you do when you're there, and I don't even know because I don't live up that direction. So I'd love your feedback. And if you've ever made this, if you've ever heard of this, how did it turn out for you? Have you washed your clothes with it? Did it clean it? If you're curious if it does and you haven't, come back next week and I'll let you have my review, because I have not washed anything with it yet. With that being said, you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Sunday.